Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And this one I think may come as a surprise to some of you. It's Eugene Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra doing Dvořák's 7th and 8th symphonies, particularly the 7th. They're both wonderful, but the 7th is like amazing. It's fascinating, actually, when you think about it, because Dvořák's 7th is one of those symphonies that everybody sort of says is his greatest. I mean, you may agree or disagree with that, but that's the general consensus because it's the one that is supposed to be closest to Brahms. So if you think Brahms is the greatest, and I don't, but if you do, you may think the 7th is the greatest. I actually like the 8th, but they're both wonderful. You're comparing apples and oranges or which infinity is better. I mean, they're just extraordinary works of genius and quite different. The 7th is a very classical symphony in the Brahmsian sense. The 8th is Dvořák in his most Czechish and original sense of being unlike anybody else. So they're wonderful pieces and wonderful examples of different ranges or different extremes of his genius. So that said, these are amazing, just amazing. And nobody ever talked about him. Nobody ever. I mean, because Ormandy was such a known quantity, right? He played Tchaikovsky. He played Rachmaninoff. He did the Russian Romantics and string things, lots and lots of strings. And he was always very beautiful, but not terribly interesting. I mean, he was so taken for granted, so pigeonholed, and especially his RCA stuff, which contained a lot of remakes. But what he didn't do for Columbia was Dvořák's 7th and 8th. He did the New World. He did the New World a bunch of times. He even did it not in Philadelphia. He did it with the London Symphony, and they were very good performances. They really were. But this, wow, baby, if you love these symphonies and you haven't heard these, you've got a treat in store. And they're also some of RCA's best sonic productions from Philadelphia. I mean, everything about these performances just went right. The 7th is dark and tragic and powerful. The finale goes just perfectly. It has like no issues with stiffness of rhythm or anything like that. The orchestra sounds gorgeous. The balances are all right. Ormandy makes a couple very discreet touch-ups in the symphony. Actually, Czech players make much bigger touch-ups than Ormandy does. I mean, they throw trumpets in where Dvořák didn't write them. They did all kinds of things. He just achieves this wonderful clarity of sound with glorious balances between strings and brass and winds, and everything just flows. There's a lived-in quality to these performances. Not that they're not in a bad sense, not in a tired sense, but in a sense of, yes, they know the idiom. They know how to do it right. They just execute it perfectly. The 8th Symphony is the same, really. It's an amazing performance. If you listen to the end, the very end, in the coda of the finale, where Dvořák speeds up then slows down, and it's like an LP that you're whizzing around faster and faster. Ormandy is so sensitive at this point. Some people, even Karajan, they like double the tempo. It's thrilling. Don't get me wrong. I love it when they do it. But you don't have to. And Dvořák's actual indications are rather modest. You can do more and, whoop them up a bit more than Dvořák wrote, but you don't have to. And Ormandy gives you all of the impetus of the people who like double the speed without doubling the speed. He does it with balance. He does it with, there's a wonderful crescendo in the brass leading up to the trumpets smear at the end. You actually hear the strings playing their dum-ba-da-da, dum-ba-da-da, dum-ba-da-da. Usually you don't even hear it because they're going so fast by then. It's a performance really much closer to the traditional Czech versions than we usually hear in non-Czech performances. But wow, it's just so inevitable sounding. Both of these performances are. They're really, really outstanding. And I don't even know if they're available or if you can find them, but good heavens, if by some chance you can get your hands on these, or you can download them or stream them, then give yourself the opportunity to hear them, because they are extraordinary and completely unexpected And that's what makes them so much fun. That's what gives them the performances that extra rush of joy. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.